are.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
and we're live on a Saturday morning. Let's just get the elephant out of the room right now. I picked up the wrong guy when I was shaving this morning, and I messed up my mustache, and now it looks like Chief Wiggums or somebody.
I didn't even realize that. That's probably because when you was talking to me and stuff, I wasn't looking in your face. You just came in and turned around.
Now I got a reverse mustache situation going on. So then
How do we know we can trust you, Rod?
right, I picked up the wrong guy, and I wasn't paying attention. I thought I was the one I always use, but I guess I picked up the zero guy. It's like I got a 5 o'clock shadow mustache. And so then I just went ahead and shaved the rest of my beard down because it looked even worse.
Oh yeah,
like I was doing it on purpose. And so now I gotta wait for my mustache to grow back, and that could take like a couple weeks at least.
Oh,
So
that's hilarious.
yeah, I'm trying to fight in the Civil War.
In reenactment.
I gotta go load up a musket if the shit go down.
What you auditioning for? What is it? Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah, God, terrible. I look just like a coon. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I know it's black men that got this mustache. It's not coons, but still, I'm not a fan of this style. I would never choose it of my own volition. But now that I've been forced to walk a mile in your shoes, brothers, let me just say I understand. Okay, Republicans be making some good points sometimes.
No, they do.
Okay,
no, they do. No, I haven't seen you like that since it's been forever since I've seen your upper lip.
I know it's terrible.
Is it cold? Do you feel the breeze? You know you had that blanket on forever. Is your upper lip all right?
It is kind of chilly in here.
Right?
I did put on a hoodie, so maybe it's a little too cold for me. Anyway, feedback show. If you don't know the ropes by now, I don't even know what to fucking tell you. Okay, it's where we leave feedback for the feedback that you left. All right, let's start with the people that gave us money by going to the blackouttips.com, looking on the right hand side, and giving us money one time or recurring. We give them a shout out.
May I have your attention? You are now listening to Charlotte's Own, Rod and Karen. We welcome the good folks who tied to the Black Diamond Tips.
That's right. New day, new pay. Let's talk about the people who put in. Unbridled Love hooked us up with a recurrent donation. Dr. Professor Bambi hit us with that recurrent donation. Jason F., the Falcons Diva, Derek W., Ken M., Lawrence E., Zach from the Living Corporate Podcast, Christoph R., Dostry J., Preston from the Slang of Ages Podcast, Tanisha G., and Celeste VB. Thank you very much, everybody who took the time out to put a little money in our pocket. We'll try not to spend it all one place. All right?
We sure won't. It might go into Rod's upper lip hair fund.
We have no 5-star reviews.
None. Oh, y'all don't love us. Y'all don't love us. It's too many of y'all for us not to at least get one 5-star review. And no, for those of you that are even international, you can leave it there. We get those too that are outside of the United States. So you know what? Renew if you haven't renewed. It's too many of y'all. If we randomly see y'all in the grocery store and y'all come up to my Rod and Karen, we love you. You better have left a 5-star review.
Yeah, it's the first time we have had 5-star reviews in quite a while. But hopefully somebody out there is put it on your heart that you like, oh no, I should have left that review by now. We'll leave it. We had people from Canada leaving us a review last time. So you don't have to be in the United States to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'll see it.
Yeah, y'all know us. I judge. Shame on you. If you know that you have not left us a 5-star review, shame on you. And whenever you leave one, you can fold your arms and judge everybody else because it's right on time.
Where's the love? All right, let's start the first episode, feedback episode. A legacy of laughter. Let's see. Harry Godzilla leaves the first comment and says, I don't have a favorite politician. Now that's about the poll. We'll get to that later. Appia says, what's happening here? Someone else left the first comment. I need to step it up next week. Respect to you, Harry Godzilla. And EVE said, you got to reclaim your spot next week, Appia. I believe in you.
I believe in you too.
Appia says, when I put Wakaganda into Google to check if it's something racist before writing about it because I'm paranoid, it asked me, do you mean Wakanda? Do I? Wakaganda forever? We always walk and talk, but we always did it. It's a great constant in our relationship. We both enjoy nature and moving around. Today, the plan is to do a big hike of 3 hours, and I'm looking forward to it. Ooh, 3 hours. I hear y'all.
Have a good time out there enjoying nature and bugs.
Yeah. Then she left another comment. She says, sorry, now I can't stop commenting about imposter syndrome. I don't have it. Why, Appia, do you always believe that things will be good and have positive outlook in life? Oh no, but maybe this will be helpful to someone. I use something negative to motivate myself because I would definitely believe that. And it's one day will be dead, so I might as well try. Nothing will stay the same anyway. Who cares? I've been in rooms with people who have lots of power in my field, and it's not like they're all geniuses. Some of them are not so competent. The hardest thing is to get the job in my experience. When you have it, it's maybe 10% about talent and 90% about the attitude. Always keep learning and really reflecting, but also be a fun, cooperative person to be around. You do that, you end up better than most. And at the end, something positive, after all, even a bit spiritual. I believe that all our minds are connected somehow, or maybe it's the souls. Like we all dream similar dreams. The one about being suddenly back in school and having to do a test and feel unprepared. Everyone who is listening to this can do more things than they think now they can do. If it can be done by a group of people, chances are you can do it too when you prepare, train, and allow yourself to be more than you thought. Now, again, with using negative thoughts for motivation, you are not so special that you are the only one who can't access new abilities. Open yourself up to inner growth because why not? All right, I hear you. That's like a negative affirmation that turned into positive. I dig it. On YouTube, we got one comment from Deep 1689 who says, great show. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And the poll was, would you buy shoes sold by your favorite politician? Yes or no?
No.
Karen says no. 8% of the audience say yes. 92% say no.
Odds are they probably ain't gonna be good shoes. You know, my feet are precious to me. I do too much in them. And so I'm like, nope, I'd rather go to somebody that has been in the shoe game for a long time.
I honestly just don't think about that as a thing, you know, like I don't like, I think if you were supporting someone's campaign and they had like a Bernie t-shirt, that makes sense to a certain level. But if like
stickers and things like that,
what Trump is doing with the shoes just seems so ridiculous. And what I think is what I'm trying to point out is I don't think it's a both sides thing. I don't think most Democrat voting people, left-leaning people, they're not really big on like anything more than like a bumper sticker or something. Like they're not, you know, sell me a piece of the shirt you got, you know, indicted in. Like they're not like that. Anyway, but there's still a percentage apparently.
Yeah, because for Trump, to a lot of those people, he's a rock star and celebrity. And, you know, we've gotten to the point for a lot of people, that's kind of how they treat them. Anything they touch, anything they sweat it on, anything I have to.
Well, it's interesting because Obama the knock on him was he's the first celebrity president. Now it's bullshit, but still, that was the knock on him. He's more of a celebrity than a president. And even for Obama, if he had came out with some fucking shoes, he would have been a laughing stock on the left. Like not just on the right, but on the left, people would have been like, hey man, get back to being president. What the fuck is this shit?
Past policies. What your fucking shoes?
But so 8% on the website, and then Spotify 12% said they would buy them. Now I don't know if these are people that already bought the Trumps.
Okay.
And they just trying to justify that they bought them Trumps. Like
justify them expensive ass purchases.
It's not weird at all to spend $400. Or if they people that they got money, so they like, I would buy anything. I got money. But 88%, still the vast majority of people say no.
Right.
The Q&A was Wakaganda, uh, uh, or Wakaganda, and then Top Flosion just said Wakanda now, Wakanda forever. Wakanda. So all right, there we go. Let's get to the next episode, which we only had 3 episodes this week. The next one was 1-800 Clan-nection. You had 4 comments. Appia says about COVID, I'm again close to ride with my opinion. Maybe I'm less pessimistic. I did all the things and it played out. I wore the mask. I had all the vaccines, and 2 cases of COVID were extremely mild, and I have no further problems. I'm not afraid anymore. But there was no way to avoid COVID completely. It was too good in being a virus. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a necessarily a more or less pessimistic thing. I feel like I'm being realistic when I'm like, hey, they gave us the tools to have the best chance. Nothing was ever foolproof. We always knew we were going to have to live with this, which is what I find ironic about the people who are so like, woe is me about it. And I wonder if it's just because, we all have like a level of PTSD, and some people it affected even more harshly than others. But even from the beginning, those people were saying we're going to end up having to live with this. We'll never beat this. We'll never be without dealing with COVID. And so their prediction came to fruition. They were always the sky is falling. And now they're like, the sky is falling. I'm still not leaving my house. I'm still not doing anything. I'm not, and I'm like, but that having that expectation of the rest of the world was never going to work out.
That's a realization, and I keep saying is I was that person, and that's a realization that I had to come into grips with and base a lot of how I felt out of that panic mode and in the reality of it, particularly once vaccinations came out and things like that. And it wasn't something that because people are still dying from it, but it was just something where you go, okay, if you follow these things, the probability drops. And I had to go, okay, and come to a realization of that and realize that for most people, they were just not going to stay shut up forever. They were just that's an unrealistic expectations to ask human beings to do. And so regardless of if they made laws, if they did the shutdown, people are like, no, I want to interact. I want to get out. I want to do things, particularly, if they are in places where, those types of things are allowed. They're like, no, we're not going to do this. So it was very full-hearted of me, but I had higher expectation of humanity than humanity had for itself.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying though, is we think about our country. We're so our country specific, but it's the world. No country beat this. Zero. So I don't like it. No matter what their culture was, there's cultures where they already were wearing masks. There's cultures where you wear a mask if you go out, if you're sick. Nobody was able to beat this thing. We were the worst. Right. Like it's not, I don't think it's close. We were the worst. We have a fucking half of our country that's just literally trying to insurrect it at any fucking goddamn point. And so just anyone saying, hey, we should probably do these things, they're going to rebel against. But already we knew that was a feature, not a bug. That was going to drag us down because it's a group project and they part of the group.
Yes, sir.
But I don't know, man. I think it's just been interesting to watch the mental reactions to it. And I think I was just always realistic with one day it'll be like the flu. And I don't mean that in the same health outcomes.
Right.
It'll be like the flu in that the flu never goes away. You need to do what you can to protect yourself, but it's going to always be around. And because of just society and money and all this shit, we're never going to be able to completely erase the risk of it. At some point, you just have to hope you get lucky. And that's what a lot of stuff is you just get lucky. It's, I see a couple people in the chat saying, they never had it. Hey, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have it for years and years. Like we went extremely long time before we got it. We were vaccinated and all that stuff. It wasn't that bad, to be honest. But that's also a bit of knock on wood, good luck, because people that get long COVID can have similar things, and then boom, they got long COVID. But it wasn't like we were foolproof. It just, I worked in a situation where we were constantly tested. People got caught in there. I was careful when doing family meetings and gatherings. I was careful when I went out in public and stuff. But at some point you can still, it only takes one time, so at any rate, let's go back to this. 1-800-CLAN Nection. Appia says, oh wait, I'll say hers. So then EVE says, when you started bantering about sugar-free gummies, I was worried that you were talking about these. And it's customer review, Haribo sugar-free gummy bears, 1 star. And it's a person talking about how they had to use the bathroom after eating them. It was my last class of the semester, and the final exam was worth 30% of our grade. After a late night study session, I felt confident, but I had decided between sleeping in or cooking breakfast. My eyelids chose sleep. My stomach later regretted this decision. After several uncomfortable stomach growls, finally decided to make a quick stop by the campus bookstore, grab a snack before my test. This is semester. Nigga, get to the point. God damn. The definition of sugar. So they got sugar-free gummy bears. They said basically they had to use the bathroom during a test they took with a sharp pain, and then basically they had to use the bathroom really bad. Hasn't been my experience with the sugar-free gummy bears. Apparently, if you eat too many Haribo sugar-free gummies, you might get a doo-doo surprise. The reviews on the product are so funny. Unfortunately, I can't have sugar-free anything because I get really bad migraines from artificial sweeteners. So I've been spared from the trauma of consuming this item. Y'all stay safe. Oh, that. I mean, that sucks to get really bad, whatever. And most of the reviews on these Haribo gummy bears are 4.6 out of 5. So I don't know. That's interesting.
So that sounds like most people don't have a problem. You have a percentage of people that do.
Yeah, at least I haven't had this issue, but maybe some people have. Shoe Booty says, during my Atkins phase in the early 2000s, I made the mistake of going to town on these sugar-free gummy bears. My soul left my body through my asshole. Jesus, I guess this is somebody else's. This is another burden for somebody else. I don't know. Maybe y'all got this instead of lactose intolerance.
Something, or something in it that responds to your body like that, right?
Shoe Booty says, how the hell is someone named Daryl Leon an honorary KKK? That kind of name recognition is a trick. Yeah. He probably feels like his racism against white people in America, because anytime he had his resume, it got thrown in the trash, and he was like, see, the white man can't get a job. Poor Daryl Leon. I'm gonna join the KKK. The comments on YouTube, we got 4. Smart Dave 60 says, terrible Terrence Howard imitation. Smiley, winky face. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't think I'm good at impressions. I do them because they're funny to me. If you happen to think they're good or funny, then God bless you. I think the attempt is funny, but I would never put myself up there with the likes of, JL Covan or, Godfrey or somebody that can really do good impressions. I can't. My voice can only go so deep, number one, so I can't do most impressions. But I do have fun making the attempt and playing around. Also, I don't practice them. They're always out the dome. And if I haven't heard the person in a while, I can't recall it. It's like my Stephen A goes by however much Stephen A I've been listening to. If I haven't been listening to Stephen A in a while, then it just sounds like Rod talking. It's different. But yeah, I hear you. Terrible Terrence Howard. Now look, the thing is, not everyone's gonna agree. Some people think it's a great Terrence Howard. I remember one time I did a TikTok as Terrence Howard as King of the Hill Hank Hill, and people love that. So, it is what it is. Shix B says Claudette was pregnant by a well-respected white man as well. I hear you. I forgot this is the one where I talked about Rosa Parks and Claudette Colvin. Well, yeah, that probably was bad optics too. Ronnie says the ball got rolling after black men returned after World War II and still faced discrimination. Eisenhower integrated the military first. I don't know what that. I'm not sure what that's specifically in reference to.
Found something you said.
Yeah. So I don't know if he means the ball got rolling on the boycott or what. All I know is what I read. And if there's some extra context that I don't have, I didn't know. Nay says, I love the explanation of the bus boycott. So many women were trying to get it off the ground. The English professor, Joanne Robinson, had those flyers ready to go because I guess she was also attacked on the bus. Also, Claudette Colvin was a youth member of the NAACP and knew Rosa Parks. Yes, it's more coordinated than people think, but at the same time, not as malicious as people try to paint it. It's a coordinated effort. That's how movements happen. That's how things work. Now, I'm not saying everyone always ends up happy and everyone's cool within the movement. Of course, that's not always true, but the word of mouth whisper campaign of Rosa Parks is just a light-skinned married woman that had all this respectability, and she was chosen to be the person who did this because she was a better person and more acceptable. Right. Those things aren't necessarily true, and when you look into them, you see the reasoning. You're like, okay, that makes sense too. Her mama, Claudette Colvin's mama, didn't want her out there like that. That makes sense.
Right. She's like, not my baby.
Doesn't have to be a nefarious plot. It's not like everyone knew the face of the thing was going to be like enshrined in history. She could have also been killed. Like many, many, many other black activists who were the face of anything at that time were killed. Medgar Evers, MLK, Malcolm X. Like it wasn't like this thing of like, and it wasn't like we had the internet and you could just make a living off of being like a famous, like I'm an activist influencer and I bought a new Ford Taurus or whatever.
Nope, you wasn't on nobody's commercials.
Yeah, you were persona non grata. Like, so anyway, we hold her in a place of honor in the culture, but that did not necessarily shit. It was black people that didn't like that shit at the time. We being a buck. It was black people that was like, what the fuck? Why I gotta get off the bus?
Yep, they was mad at that. A lot of people didn't like Martin Luther King's method. A lot of, so just because you the quote unquote head or face or something, it ain't gonna mean all the niggas are in agreement with what you do and your stance and what you're trying to accomplish, even if they end up benefiting from it in the long run.
Yeah, and I say that as a guy that looks like the rent is too damn high guy right now.
Yes, you do.
So I know about politics. The poll was, which is worse, honorary KKK member or official KKK member?
Is worse honorary, because nigga, you faking the funk. You didn't even go through the initiation to become a full-fledged member.
The audience agrees with Karen. 72% say honorary is worse, official 28%, and on Spotify 61% say honorary is worse, and 39% say official is worse.
I mean, join the club. Shit, why just be honorary?
And the comment was tip your strippers.
Yes, please.
Roger says, and strip your tippers. No, don't do that. Raphael says, don't fall in love with strippers. They aren't aliens. They got bills and responsibilities and dreams like the rest of us. Tip them and tip them good while thanking them for their service to humanity. Dr. Uzo says, what that man did to the staff at Body Talk is tantamount to theft. Typhlosion says, ain't no such thing as halfway KKK crooks. Keith Taylor says, I got halfway through Riot imitating Terrence Howard before I realized what he was doing. Now cackling. Pay them taxes or you going to jail, man. Thank you. Alicia says, they were beefing at the wedding, so they stayed beefing at the wedding. They knew not to take it to Bella Noches.
No. And me and my homegirl can't go to Bella Noches. Yes,
it's upsetting me and my homegirl because we feel like, well, damn, if you can't go to Bella Noches, what the hell could you go?
Where the hell could you go?
Tyrell says, I haven't hit up a scripper Emporium in years, but always tip the dancers, servers, and bartenders. Heck, if the bouncer was cool, they could get a tenner. They just gotta do it. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta do it. Yeah, not tipping strippers is so foul to me. That's crazy. Like, really sitting there and making a point of not tipping. Get the fuck out.
Right.
Dina says technically isn't $1 every $1 thrown giving a tip. Yeah, but he wasn't even doing that.
He just wasting their time. They could have been making money elsewhere.
Brock Cherry says because tipping isn't a city in China, you know. Oh, I see you, deep. The Shady Dane says I'm sugar-free stuff connoisseur. Try Smart Sweets. They're available in most grocery stores, but they also have loads of fiber, so that helps. My faves are their peach rings. I'll look into it. Coach Malik Bailey says, yo, I've been to Body Talk. You absolutely have to be ready to tip. The ladies walk around expecting tips, whether they're on stage or not. Got to have your cash on point. Yeah, I don't think it was a matter of this dude not knowing to tip. He didn't want to.
Right. Like, that's what some of the parties said afterwards, that he didn't want to.
Yeah, get the fuck out. You ruin it for the rest of your friends.
We here for a good time. You fucking up the environment. And the thing is, you come in here, it's like, hey, dog, you know what's up. We know what's up. Why are we faking the funk? If you don't want to get off no cash, why are you here?
This is either Gin or Jen with a G. It says, I just asked when it's Karen's banter time. Let her banter. I'm trying to hear Karen's take on the gummy bears, not Rod. Sick emoji, sad face emoji. Well, I'm sorry. Karen, did you feel like I interrupted your gummy bears banter?
Not to the best of my knowledge. At least I didn't feel that way. They may have felt that way, the person that wrote in, but I didn't feel that way.
Well, I'm sorry, Jen. I didn't, or Gen, or however you pronounce it. I didn't mean to ruin the banter. My fault. One of the things that is hard to understand about banter is that it's banter, meaning both of us have to participate. It's not just one of us says something and the other person don't say shit. But the thing is, it's a fine line. It's a difficult walk, you know, doing this show. You gotta know when to double dutch in and when to sit on the sidelines. And I guess no one else in the entire listening base had that problem that you had, but maybe, you know, I jumped in when I should have sat out, and I'll try to be mindful of it, but I'm never going to be 100% perfect. And it's never going to be that way for Karen either. Sometimes she jumps in and interrupts something I'm saying.
I sure do.
Sometimes she tries to finish my thought and it's not what I was going to say. And it's just part of doing a live show that's not edited every day for a couple hours. And hopefully you'll be able to get the fuck over it, because it's not that important. All right. Episode 2868.
So, baby, it ain't that important.
Rob Hayes, Karen trying to make you feel good because I made a joke about you, but you see how she just jumped into my thing to try to like put her feelings on it. It's two of us here. We're not psychic. It just is what it is. EVE says, great guest. Oh, also sometimes Karen be getting shit wrong, and y'all motherfuckers don't get the emails about correcting shit. So sometimes Karen will say something and be like, oh, it's like we got the such and such. And I'm like, that's not what happened. So it'd be a lot going on at the same time. Damn.
That's part of the fun.
EVE says, great guest for episode 28. Oh, actually, you know what? No, we need to play some music here. Oh, so I remember where to put the ads later, because we didn't have reviews this time. So let me see if I can find some music. All right. EVE leaves the first comment on episode 2868, Rob Hayes, where the guest was comedian Rob Hayes. Great guest. Hopefully you'll have him back. I'm not that well versed in the comedy world, but is it crowd work how Matt Rife got so popular? It seems to me that someone who is good at doing crowd work might not be that good doing traditional stand-up. And that's why so many people didn't find this special that funny. I think a comedian can do some crowd work, but I'm not sure if I'd enjoy a show of a comedian doing nothing but crowd work. Well, So there's a couple things to it. One, Matt Rife has been a stand-up comedian for I think at least 10 years, and it's not just all crowd work. Now he went viral through crowd work.
But that's not all he does.
Right, but that's not all he does. And but him going viral with crowd work actually really was a game changer. Other comedians have been trying to do it, but no one had really successfully like gotten as big as he got. Netflix special big off of just like putting out those videos of working the crowd. And I think a part of it is obviously his looks, and part of it is the fan base. It seemed to be a lot of white women that were kind of into, oh, he's a hot looking guy.
Right, they want to fuck him.
And then they were sharing his shit like this is how comedians should be. They're not like Dave Chappelle and stuff. But because they were fans of those clips online, there's two things you got to know. Number one, not people that watch that stuff online don't always go to fucking clubs. Like they might not be comedy fans as much as they're TikTok fans, and that's something that entertained them. The second thing is they weren't really familiar with his act, it didn't seem. And so that could have been what his act is like in the club the whole time. And they just didn't know, because what he was sharing was stuff that wasn't necessarily him trying to burn his material. So he's sharing crowd work. It's a very easy way to say something funny, but not say something that you've been working on for years. And now that it's on the internet and everyone's seen it, you're not going to be able to put it on a TV special. You're not going to be able to perform it live anymore, because a lot of people that are coming to see you are like, oh, I saw you tell that joke already. So I think when you add up those two things, it shows you why they weren't prepared for whatever his stand-up was. And those bits could have been old as time, or they could have been brand new. I think the real problem with a lot of his special was there was no crowd work. And he even tried to make a point of it at the end of the special to be like, and they'd say, I only do crowd work, bitch, or whatever. And it's like, you should have done some crowd work, because that is what a lot of people came to see. And I'm not sure why. I mean, I guess it was an ego thing that he was like, I ain't gonna do it, but you should have done it. And then the other thing is, well, your stand-up's not that funny, period. It's not me being a hater or any of that stuff. I know it's hard to do that job. I know I'm more lenient than a lot of people when it comes to judging stand-up, but it just wasn't that funny. I watched the whole thing and I didn't find it that funny, even with or without the crowd work. He just didn't. His stuff felt kind of antiquated to me. But yeah, that's just me. Ramsey D. Jenkins says, this was a good episode. Rob Hayes, welcome to the Blackout Tips family. Cannot wait to have him back, especially to play some games. 5 stars. Thank you.
That was fun.
Sean says, on the topic of crowd work, it's useful in 2 situations: dealing with hecklers and getting the audience engaged. You're a crowd warmer for shows with live audiences. However, I get the feeling that the focus on crowd work for social media clip generation may lead to attention seekers coming to shows to engage in crowd work rather than letting the comedian present their act. In other words, I fear that crowd work dealing with hecklers and social media, even by solid comedians like JL Covan, Andrea Jen, Tara White, and Jeff Hofstetter, is a net negative. Also, you feel like JL is ruining comedy with his clips that sometimes show him doing crowd work. Okay.
And so does he. He's in agreement. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. You take a shot at him, Sean. JL Covan is part of the problem. He's not part of the solution. Okay.
Was he ever?
JL, oh, I'm so sorry. It's okay. We still like you, JL. I love you. Please don't.
This whole thing is raining on the parade, so he's in agreement.
No, JL, I'm so sorry. Just don't.
Are we changing roles?
A joke
here?
might hurt
What
your
is
feelings.
happening?
Oh no, Lord Jesus, please.
And the thing is, when it comes to it, crowd work has always been there. It just hadn't always been recorded and things like that. So, the crowd work piece ain't nothing new. The new piece is the social media, and it's going viral on social media. And the thing is also, crowd work, it's a difference between the comedian actually initiating the crowd work, like, hey, I'm gonna crowd work, because we've been to shows where the audience comes knowing that it's gonna be crowd work. And that's different than somebody's coming being belligerent towards the person on stage and it turns into crowd work, because now the focus is on that person and not on the comedian and the jokes and all that type of stuff. And like I said, I don't mind crowd work. Crowd work itself and the way it's structured, if done right, does not bother me. Crowd work bothers me when the comedian isn't always prepared or don't know where to go and things like that, and it gets weird, it gets awkward. And also, crowd work is becomes a problem to me when it's like the person doesn't know understand that we need to move on, because like I said, I paid for the comedian, I didn't pay for you rando in the fucking audience.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think what I'll say is I don't believe this is teaching the audience to be disruptive, because what I think is missing from Sean's the thing and is this small difference. Crowd work versus dealing with a heckler. Dealing with a heckler videos is probably about 5 years ago to hit their peak. What the videos are now are not necessarily dealing with hecklers. Now, I thought that dealing with heckler videos may have sent the wrong message to the audience, because it was like, oh, someone heckled me, and then the comedian would post like a salacious title on it, like comedian takes down audience member, takes down drunk woman. And I think those are different than crowd work. Crowd work is something comedians do all the time.
Mhm.
They might not have put it on the thing, but as you said, it's, hey, where you work? They're just trying something, try to get familiar, try to loosen up the audience. So I don't think this is teaching anybody the wrong thing. I thought that the deals with a heckler shit was teaching people the wrong thing, because it made it seem like, oh yeah, cool, a heckler came, I'm gonna get thank God I'm gonna get some material for YouTube. And it's like, no, as an audience member, I don't like hecklers. Like,
Right.
just stop.
Right, because my things, I paid for my ticket too, and I didn't pay to see you.
Yeah, you prepare something. The crowd work thing is different in that I can see people feeling like, well, this is not, you didn't prepare material. I want to hear you do the material prepared.
Yeah,
But it's not this, it's not the same. And I would say that crowd work and dealing with hecklers needs to be a completely separate discussion.
yes,
Because lumping them in together and then being like, JL Calvin is making it a net negative by putting that clip up, I think is different. Crowd work and heckling is just different to me.
It is to me too. As somebody who's been to a lot of comedy shows, it is different, and I've seen both go good and I've seen both go bad.
Yeah, and I also think there's a difference between putting up the clip and inviting heckling. It's so we'll see. I mean, it's up to those comedians to say how they feel like environments have changed. But I know as a comedy goer, I haven't witnessed more disruption, more heckling, or more crowd work over the last couple of years I've been to shows, but at least not any more than I already had seen.
Right.
Like, now they're just, comedians are just recording it, but they used to do it all the time anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, if you're not good at generating engaging, interesting, and structurally sound sets, rife, you can let the audience cover for your lack of competence and make a career in comedy. However, I prefer comedians who have solid timing, engaging delivery, a defined yet unique and versatile on-stage character, and set that has a strong micro and macro structure. Micro structure is the structure of individual jokes, anecdote. Macro structure is the structure of the set as a whole. Yeah, I know. Here's the thing I will say though, like, I think it's a combination. I think it's like saying I went to an NBA game. I only want to see this player shoot threes. But what makes a good player is that they can mix it up, that they can shoot it, they can do a little bit of everything. Steph Curry hits a couple twos, hits a layup, gets some assists, and he hits some threes. So you need to get the whole thing, and I think that combination is what makes people dope and great. And so, to be honest, when I see a comedian live, I expect at least a little bit of acknowledgement and interaction with the crowd. That's how you loosen the crowd up.
Right.
Comedians that just come out and robot go into their set, a lot of times it's real dicey up in there. Like, the jokes ain't hitting right away. People don't fuck with it. You don't acknowledge that this is a live thing and
Right.
I can see you and you can see me.
Correct.
A lot of times you lose the crowd. So it's a catch-22 with the like, just come out and do your jokes. Even when people put out specials, you'll see like the first couple minutes, whether coordinated or not. A lot of times it's about the city, it's about the crowd, it's about the audience, it's an acknowledgement of this is live and it's happening right now. When you brought up warm-up comedians and like those openers and stuff for people's specials, why do they do a lot of crowd work? To get the crowd to do the work so that that comedian can come out and get into their set. Someone has to acknowledge this is happening, this is a crowd, this is live. That's why the guys who do hosting a lot of times do a lot of crowd work, not standard bits. It's that type of thing because it's about creating a vibe. And if you, like I said, I respect the hell out of comedians who can hit all three of those, you know.
It's hard.
But yeah, I do take your point in that that the promoting heckling or glamorizing it, I think does send a weird message to an audience. And heckler motherfuckers already feel like they doing you a favor interrupting your fucking set, right? Which I fucking hate.
Me too.
Comedians doing crowd work. I'm into it, not a fan. 50-50 on our website. 50-50. And on Spotify, it's 56% into it, 44% not into it. So it's really close. The comments on YouTube, Jay Houston says, this is a great treat for a Tuesday, Rod. You are a great interviewer. And Karen, your comments are spot on. I guess I am one of the weirdos who enjoy video because your facial expressions crack me up. I'll definitely support this young man. He was funny.
He was hilarious.
Yeah, Rob is hilarious. Sir Spoonful says, absolutely adore Rod as an interviewer. This is a fun listen, y'all. Thank you. I take the time, man. I write down a bunch of questions and listen to his podcast, watch the stand-up. You know, I don't just show up. Like, it's not just, oh, we got this guy on the show. Hey, what's going on over there? What's your name again? Like, I try to make sure that I have some avenues to go into, and at the same time, try to allow for wherever the conversation goes, wherever they want to take it, wherever Karen wants to take it, if she wants to chime in with something. But I always prepare as if no one else is gonna be prepared, because I don't want my nightmares. I show up, I didn't do that much research, I didn't do that much preparation, I don't have a lot of questions for this person, and then the person's not really that forthcoming. It's awkward, it's weird, and now they look kind of bad because y'all gonna love us, y'all listen to us. So now that guest looks a little bit awkward and bad. People don't like to fit on the show. You know, maybe Karen's not chiming in. She doesn't have any questions. It's, you know, maybe we're asking basic questions that everyone asks the same questions to the people. So yeah, man, I appreciate that y'all are, you know, attentive and see the work that's being put in, you know, to shows like this. And even more fun, we got to play games with them too. Yeah, which we don't always get to do with new guests.
Right.
And the Q&A was just bring back tap dancing. And Chris says, only in a unique way. I don't even know what that means. What do you mean by that, Chris? A unique way of tap dancing.
Explanations, please.
Yeah. All right. We got to go to the phones. We got one voicemail, but I need to play some more music so we can get to this money.
Psycho.
Music.
That's a good one. Make my upper lip curl and then be like, ain't no hair on it.
Need to put a little cap on it, get some waves.
All right, first voicemail and only voicemail.
Hi, Rod and Karen. This is Jada. I'm just calling to say that you guys are absolutely right. It takes so much courage for someone to offer up their own child in the movement. So my mom, actually, her and another Black boy, they integrated the elementary school that me and my sister actually ended up going to. But yeah, my great grandmother was very adamant that my mother was going to do it. And so I think there were a lot more people who had first signed up, and then when it, came to it, they, and rightfully so, were afraid to send their kids to the school, and so it was just my mom and the other Black boy, and my mom had to be escorted, to school by police, and it was, I think my mom was second or third grade. I remember she was very young in elementary school, so I cannot imagine just the strength that it took. And I know she was so scared, and my great grandmother was just also had to be scared, but had to kind of not show that to in the face of the movement. And I don't remember how many more enrolled the next year, but it it kind of was like, okay, after that first year, I think more Black students came, but it is very hard to be the first. And even I'm fully grown, and I live in Atlanta, and when the Black Lives Matter movement was happening, I actually felt guilty. That I was like, I think I told my family, I was like, I should go out there and protest and be out there. Other people are being arrested, and I feel kind of, I don't know, like a sham or something of not being out there actively. And my mom didn't want me to. She's like, no, you are fighting, in other ways, and that's not the only way to contribute to the movement.
Oh, she got cut off for 2 minutes. She didn't call back, but yeah, I mean, there is that kind of guilt complex that I think a lot of people have about Blackness and activism and the lack thereof and sacrifice. And yeah, I can't even imagine the idea of feeling like, yeah, I was supposed to sacrifice my child to this movement or else,
and that's a very heavy and weighted decision for anybody to make. And this is why I don't come out harshly. I don't criticize people when people opt out, when people are like, no, if you want justice, let the justice system do its job without me. I opt not to participate.
Right.
I think they should have that right to, versus them being called a coon, versus them, you question their Blackness and all this other bullshit. Because you know what that says? That's less about them and more about you and your anger and the things that are within inside of you. And I get it, because the anger is justified. But why should they have to sacrifice? Particularly if they don't want to, because like I said, you turn it around, let it be you and yours. The average person is not doing that. So I don't fault people for opting out when I know most people will not. It's bold and it's brave to do it, because most people want you to sacrifice yours, but they're not sacrifice theirs.
Yeah, I always respect the sacrifice, and not. I know most people don't necessarily do this, but I respect the sacrifice. I don't mock the people who choose not to,
right?
Because I really do understand, and I think a lot of people say that kind of shit to make themselves seem like better Black people, but at the end of the day, they not always sacrificing, and a lot of times they ask stuff of people they wouldn't do themselves or can't do,
right?
And that's before you get into the other behind the scenes shit with folks. So yeah, I'll just I just, and when I read, I mostly just read for understanding the context, and I'm like, oh, this is what was asked of folks. So yeah.
As somebody who, like I say, and somebody said in the chat room, and I believe this, we're not too far removed from this history, because guess what, baby? Your mama's still alive. She's alive to tell this story, but you let them tell it. That was the quote unquote 19th century, and that was yesteryears and shit like that. You go, no, it's living evidence that these things happen. And some of the schools that I went to here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, when schools got integrated, I have like cousins and aunts that were alive, and they went in elementary school, they was in high school, and they used to talk about when the schools first got integrated and they didn't have a choice, and the fights and things like that, like a lot of shit that they personally had to deal with just to kind of function through it, because they were teenagers, and teenagers are a little bit different than elementary school kids. And so a lot of them did not get the same protection as the smaller children did. And so, when you think about that and you hear the stories and stuff, that's why I don't be, how can I say this? And because I have living family members that can tell me this story, I know we can go back, and we're not far from repeating this bullshit if people allow it to do this. This is why I fight tooth and nail. This is why I'm not here for the stupidity. This is why I'm like, I will vote for less harm. The thing is, just living, you're gonna get harmed, so you're not gonna be harm free through life. That's impossible, and that's this ridiculous concept to have. But I'd rather have less harm than more harm.
All right, let's get into the emails. I like that. Black Bear Chill. All right. Norby says, hi, it's Nana. Listening to episode 2869. Pause it real quick to send a quick note. I do think the CDC and many of us in the public health sector made a fatal mistake with the COVID response, which is we underestimated how lonely people got and how social media algorithms exploited that. That's a pretty good point. That's facts.
Yeah, but and also the thing is, that's nothing you could have predicted. All jokes out, like you find that right there, you find this out after we've gone through it, kind of, quote unquote. It's not like nobody coming in would have known or predicted these things. There's some people that probably could have predicted it out of human behavior and studying, situations in the past. But how would you have known that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I hear what you say. I guess I see the point of I know what you're saying. Like, it's not a blame thing necessarily, but I do understand the point of we didn't really see this coming, and now looking back, it's like, shit, maybe we should have seen that coming, just because it was so fucked up, and I think also, as we've had people email in to say, it's a bad choice. It's just, there were no good choices when it came to the pandemic. You just weren't going to be able to look around and be like, oh yeah, obviously all we need to do is blank. You know what I mean? Because it was just too hard to look around and say the easy answer is blank. It's you're either going to have mental health crises and you're going to have social media exploiting it, or you're going to have people running out acting like everything's fine, getting sick and fucking dying. So it's like, which one is okay, So I kind of understand. During the height of the crisis, the CDC told folks what not to do. Don't hang with people outside the household. Don't go out to public places. Do wear a mask, with all the super important life-saving advice. But the CDC didn't invest a lot of time in telling folks how to still stay in community and making online spaces to address the mental health isolation. Yeah, I do wonder if that's even something the CDC is capable of. One of the things that happened with the CDC in this pandemic that I don't think people recognized, or maybe they still don't, and I mean this for liberal people especially, they don't recognize that they're not the big boogeyman organization that conservatives say they were. They don't have all the money and all the resources, and they have no enforcement wing. They literally just suggest shit, and they have always only suggested shit. A lot of liberal people didn't realize that, and that's why they have so much blame on the CDC. They're like, why didn't they say this? And it's like, because they can't back it up. The whole time was just if people act right, hopefully this will work. And that happened for maybe 2 weeks. There were 2 weeks when people were scared enough, conservatives too, to be like, let's comply with what the CDC is asking us to do. And from that point on, it was just two Americas out this motherfucker. It was like, I'm not doing that shit. Fuck them. Yeah,
and also something else that's very, very important, the thing that you're talking about, it's possible that for what you're talking about could have been done. The problem was who was president at the time. Because prior to all this, but people fail to realize, don't forget, prior to this, Obama had whole teams whose whole jobs was to predict when the next pandemic was going to happen, to predict when these things were going to happen. They had mechanisms in place. They like they had it all together. Trump came in. He treated it like a goddamn business. He said if it don't make money, it don't make sense. So he got rid of motherfucking people's jobs. He defunded them. He made them to where they were skeletons of a crew. The fucking pandemic happened, and then people were not able to do their jobs. The checks and balances, the people that reported on, the people that could have did their jobs were no longer there. People forget this. Like what you're asking could have been done. It could have been done where we could have had the funds, the sources, the resources to do these things that you're talking about. But you can't do that on a fraction of the budget, a fraction of the crew. Because when you got rid of these are people that have had these jobs for fucking decades. I've dedicated my whole life to following transmutable diseases. Like my whole I have studied the history of when this shit first started. I could tell you this and this and this and how long it lasted. Like that's what I've dedicated my life to. I'm a part of the federal government. Let me do my job. And Trump said, here's your paperwork. So guess what? That's decades of knowledge and wisdom and contacts and things like that are just gone. And so, and you know when he put these people in these positions that were incompetent and didn't know what they were doing, that's if he replaced them at all. Because a lot of people failed to realize when Trump was in office and people got fired, they didn't replace people. You had people showing up to goddamn government jobs with no supervisor, no manager, and nobody fucking to report to. I remember. And so for me, it's like, yes, I understand what you're saying, but also you have to blame the person in charge that defunded these people that they didn't have the ability to do their job.
Yeah, I agree with all of that stuff. Also, he was not just defunding and kneecapping these institutions that way. He also was undermining them. You know, I feel like that doesn't get said enough. You know, how he was literally putting pressure on the CDC to lie to the people and say everything was okay and when it wasn't. So yeah, there's like a lot of stuff that I think I don't like. We have to have the full context of what was happening and not just the like, not that this is what you're doing, but just the like, well, if the CDC would have did this, well, let's talk about why they didn't. Because it's not like they were like, all right, our best and brightest minds have decided to say this. It's you're giving a speech as a CDC person. Dr. Fauci is there. And then this motherfucker comes out and says something about bleach. You know, he's promoting hydroxychloroquine. Like, this was not normal. And this is why it's so fucking important who's in charge of the goddamn country.
Yes.
You know, so it's hard for me to do a complete like, yeah, man, they just should have, you know, why didn't the CDC see that coming? Like, we know why. They weren't allowed to really see it coming. Many people turned to the internet seeking connection, and the right-wing folks were right there with open arms saying, hey, we'll be your friends. Come on down and meet up. And folks were evangelized peer pressure and not wearing masks and not getting the vaccine because that was the requirements to hang with their newfound community. Very similar to how white nationalists recruit in rural places. They don't start with, hey, fill in the blank derogatory name for the person of color. They start with taking care of your kids when you're overwhelmed and bringing you food when you lost your job and not feeling great. All to say that I'm not sure that humanity is inherently selfish or the majority of folks out here are jackasses. I mean, there are definitely a lot of people who are, but I think that's maybe 10 to 15% of the population. I think there are a lot of people who end up in the camp of no vax, no mask because they weren't really anywhere else for them to go. And frankly, there still isn't. Yeah, I definitely disagree on this because I think we've seen too much at this point of people that legitimately found community in other spaces that weren't like this. Like, I know people that, you know, the community they found in the pandemic was people that were also like, hey, I'm vaccinated and I'm scared. This is scary. Like, it wasn't just a bunch of, you know, I don't know. It just, I just think, I don't think I agree with the premise on this one. And I don't think the CDC could have fixed this one. Like, I don't think it was a matter of like, oh, well, yeah, just, I mean, CDC, just fucking say, you know, like, you know what it is, CDC. You just go out there, you say, do the right thing, and then everybody does it, and then, you know, shit is cool. I don't think that was ever on the table. So I think I kind of disagree with this premise. I also don't think the CDC, even without the money and the resources, wouldn't have the ability to build a community space. And the reason I say that is because the community spaces existed before the pandemic. They were Twitter, they were Reddit, they were TikTok. That's what community was essentially. And I mean, they can't control those spaces. So this is what happens. All I have to say that and I do think humanity is selfish, but that's just me. That's just vibes thing. People are still feeling lonely, overwhelmed, and sad, particularly folks who didn't have anyone at the time during the pandemic, or it was just them with their children. We haven't grappled with how to address the isolation and loneliness. Hopefully, if we figure this piece out soon, there will be more people compliant with public health emergency that requires isolation. Anywho, just food for thought. Apologize in advance for any grammar mistakes, Nana. Yeah, I think, like I said, I hear what you're saying. I definitely agree that there was some mental health toll that took on people.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely agree that the internet was just like a forest fire that attracted all types of people.
Agreed.
And got them grouped up. I think the pandemic, like we've said many times on the show, fast forwarded everything. Everything that was wrong with the economy, fast forward. Everything that was wrong with the service industry, everything that was wrong with the government, everything that was wrong with society and the divisions that we house, it just put kerosene on it. And it burned faster than it was already burning, but it took us to a place we were already going. The only issue I really had with this is I don't believe anything you brought up was in the power of the CDC to prevent. And I think that's the fallacy that I keep talking about with liberal people, is this idea that the CDC was some sort of overarching authority figure that had like a lot of resources and enforcement, and they just never fucking did. They were never supposed to be in this situation. Like the CDC was never supposed to be in a situation where half of our politicians and half of our country was like, fuck what y'all just said as experts. It was never supposed to get there. And I think, unfortunately, we got there.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica says, Rosa Parks, love the show, avid listener. Tiny correction on the Rosa Parks part. Rosa's husband, Raymond Parks, was not just some anti-revolutionary hater. He actually had extensive experience as an organizer on behalf of the Scottsboro Boys. That cause and how it unfolded traumatized him. He developed addictions and habits as a result. And you can read more, and there's a link, to which I responded, I'll read it on the show, but just to be clear, did I call him an anti-revolutionary hater? Because if so, I don't recall that. I just know in the context of this particular issue, he wasn't on board and Rosa still did it. It adds to how amazing what she did was and how daunting a task it was, because I was pointing out, obviously, that Claudette Colvin, who was single, pregnant, a child, people were like, she deserved all the da-da-da. And I'm like, this was a task and an undertaking. This was not a something to be lightly like, oh, and because you're gonna get to be famous. It wasn't. That's not what happened. So you're talking about putting a pregnant child in the middle of the hot nuclear issue of segregation in the South during that period of time. It would have been fucking irresponsible, to be honest. And to the point where even Rosa Parks' activist husband was like, they gonna kill you. Don't do it. So the bravery of Rosa Parks, boom. But also, he's not a fool. He's recognizing that what happens. He's saying this shit could go wrong. She said, thanks for your response. I wasn't saying that as a direct quote. My apology. Your statement was, he was known as being like an alcoholic himself, and he was not as revolutionary as she was. Just highlighting he wasn't a simple naysayer. Right. Everything I said was 100% correct. He wasn't as revolutionary as she was. And he was an alcoholic. I'm not trying to denigrate his work. This isn't about disrespect. It's simply in the context of the bus boycott. At that point, he had so much trauma. He was not with that. And I'm not even saying his reasoning wasn't right. Keep in mind, as I said earlier on this show and on that episode, I'm not one who points the finger at people and makes them feel bad when they go, I don't want to die for this.
Right.
I ain't never called that man a coward. I ain't call him anti-revolutionary. I didn't call him a hater. We just need to keep it facts. I appreciate you tugging my coat about, his work, because if I left that out, I didn't mean to. I didn't think it was germane to what I was discussing about Claude Coven, but it's a great addendum to it in that this man did work himself, saw the results of that work, saw the trauma, saw the death, saw the violence, and was like, hey, don't do this, my wife that I love, who I'm trying to protect. I wouldn't. Like I said, I didn't call this man a coward, anti-revolutionary. I didn't call him a hater, any of that stuff. He had a history of activism as well and was damaged by it, resulting in his response and concern. He was quite traumatized, as anyone should be. He did real activism works and deserves a bit more grace, I think. I don't think I was taking any grace away from him. I always think it's a shame that their real records aren't ever told, like Rose's history advocating for Reese Taylor. I appreciate your willingness to discuss the topic at all. I said, I completely understand. I'll make sure to read this on air to straighten the record. I only meant he wasn't as revolutionary as her in this aspect. The book does go a little deeper into the causes, alcoholism, and trauma. But yeah, like I said, we just gotta, if you write in with a correction, we just gotta be 100% factual then. Because if you're gonna be tic-tacky on me, I gotta be tic-tacky back. And especially when, that's my big trigger. If I didn't say the shit, then you need to come up with what I said. And if I need to correct that, I'll correct that. But don't just, implying that we're saying shit we're not saying here is just a big no-go for me. Especially when y'all are listening, you can always hit the rewind button. You could quote us directly. Y'all got it right there, and we talked for 2 hours a show just about. So I can't remember this every single thing I said. So y'all right up here and I'm like, did I say that? It's pretty important that I said what you said I said in order to make this quote unquote correction. Anyway, Miss Stacy says, Dear Rod and Karen, I was cackling at your first impression of Terrence Howard. It had me absolutely smiling like a fool. Well, I just wish that one brother that wrote in, I wish he could respect my art. The 1-800 connection, I remember those ads. And then the brother fighting his sister at the wedding. I just know his mother was like, please let him come. And she probably guilted the bride into inviting him. Mm-hmm. I really thoroughly enjoy you too. Please keep up the good work. P.S. I found you all one Black History Month at least 8 or 9 years ago at the Searching for Black podcast. Love, Miss J. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate you. And yeah, it's interesting because they highlight us on Apple Podcasts every Black History Month. So I wonder if that's how people find us sometimes.
Yeah, probably is.
Crystal says, hello. So I know you all talk about election apathy that starts every single election year. I had never had this come across my timeline until today. I don't have Twitter and I don't use Instagram, usually only on Facebook, and I'm only friends with close friends and my daughter's friends' parents. So I'm usually out of the loop on social media and only hear about certain things on here. Usually when I see someone who is on some BS and drama, I delete or mute them. So for the first time, I had what I would consider a usually level-headed person who started with the Sleepy Joe needs to bow out and the Democrats need to have someone else run for office. I was proud that most of the comments were like, why would an incumbent president bow out during their re-election campaign? And the Democrats having him to run against someone else is a guaranteed loss. This person, who is usually very nuanced and such, really started with the Biden is the racist, worst of two evils. He was cognitive decline. They have a pretty big following. I told them it was a bit irresponsible to start this mess during the election year, and we need all hands on deck. They were upset that there were no policies specifically for Blacks that didn't include brown people, and no other group goes through this. I told them all the other groups feel that way, but no, it's for the greater good. I'm just really saddened that we are starting to see this seep into normal, very level-headed people. Shaking my head.
Mm-hmm, because a lot of people buy into that. I think, and like I said, I might be wrong, but my just philosophy is for a lot of people, they groupthink. Whatever media, social media is feeding them, whatever the news is feeding them, that's what they quote unquote roll with. Not all, but some of these people are not critical thinking people. Like they don't really analyze things. They just regurgitate things, because if you start asking them and questioning them about why they feel like they do, they really can't give you a foundational logical reasoning why, because it was not their thought. And
is it groupthink if everyone in your comments is like, you wrong? Like, what's the group then that you're thinking with?
Not groupthink. It's groupthink for whatever group they're part of is a groupthink. Like, because they're getting this from somewhere. There's a group. So it's a group think within that group, even though it's quote unquote wrong. It's a group think within that particular group. And so people are telling you that shit don't make no sense, and you're still fighting against it.
Yeah, I guess I think it's something a little bit different, which I would, because I don't necessarily know that it's so much a group thing, or yeah, I don't like. I guess all think is group think in some way if you can find other people that agree with it. But like when someone like that brings something to their page, that they haven't been saying before, and that no one agrees with, and then they double and triple down. It reminds me of people I've seen spiral like that, and to which I don't necessarily think it's I guess I wouldn't term it as groupthink in the way I've seen groupthink exercise. I've seen like groupthink to me is Chris Pratt is a piece of shit, and then everyone goes, yeah, he's a piece of shit, right? Real piece of shit. He hates his fucking own kids, right? He fucking, and you're like, wait, everyone in this group is saying this. What's the evidence? Well, we would just all fucking hate him. We don't really need the evidence of what the fuck we say it is. Okay. I think that's what I think of when I hear the term group thing. Not saying you have to think of the same thing, but there's something else that happens, I think, when people are being contrarian almost, and whether it's an attention-seeking thing and they're aware that they're seeking attention, or it's literally just something else is happening in their life. And this is the place they went to express those emotions, but they're not saying whatever it is. Like
I can see that.
That's how I know when I see a person that I would call level-headed act out like this because keep in mind, you can believe everything this person said and not tell us.
Agreed.
This is how I always try to break down the people that are publicly like, I'm not voting. I don't give a you know what? Do blank
You
slogan.
tell us.
I'm like, right, not voting. Think about what you're saying. You're not voting, which means what happens on election day? You're going to stay home, which means every day up until then, you don't have to say shit. This doesn't have to be a fight. If you truly are apathetic, not motivated, don't give a fuck about anything or anyone, don't want to talk about it, you could just not vote. You're doing nothing. This isn't you taking an action. This is you being inactive, not taking an action. It's like if I tweeted out not going to the gym today. I never tweet out I'm not going to the gym because that's the default. Who gives a fuck if I don't go to the gym? A lot of y'all ain't going to the gym. I'm not going to the gym that day. Ain't really a fucking thing to talk about. Unless I want to say that so that y'all can go, oh, right, come on, you need to go to the gym. You said you were going to go to the gym. Go to the gym. Well, I'm not going to the gym and if I double down on it and I triple down on it, well, what the fuck what's really going on? That's how I look at it. Like I said, it's something to me where it's like, you definitely got it from somewhere. Not saying it's not a group that exists.
Right.
But where you're presenting it is not your group. That's not your group that you're presenting this idea to.
So you're going to pick a fight.
You're going to fight.
Agreed.
You want to fight.
Yes, you do.
That's the question I have.
And so what is the motivation behind that? So
why do you want to fight?
I agree with you. And like you say, a lot of times I've realized when people do this, 9 times out of 10, there's some other shit going on in their life that they want to distract themselves from. And so the frustration, anger, sadness, bitterness, jealousy, whatever it is that they're dealing with at that time, they come on here and it temporarily makes them feel better. But when they turn that motherfucker off, they got to still sending them emotions.
Yeah, like when that person Nana wrote in about the CDC, one of the things that this is making me think about back to that is a lot of those groups that people joined was also because people had an impulse of loneliness and whatever, and they wanted to fight. Because you don't just join those groups for just the camaraderie and the friendship. The part of signifying for that group is to be like, and I told my family I ain't wearing no mask, and so maybe I'm not gonna see them, blah blah blah. And how many people sadly told stories of like losing family members to QAnon, shit like that. I don't think the CDC can stop that. But I do recognize it was a real issue.
Agreed.
And when I see stuff like that, it does make you feel sad because you're probably, no offense to this person, I don't know them, you probably lost that person.
Yes.
By which I mean, they're not going to see reason because there's an impulse to fight. And they
And that's
wanted to
bigger than
fight
anything.
when they presented that. And when you presented them with anything logical, reasonable, rational, they're not going to want to hear it. And they will shift. They will shift their thinking to something else when you answer the question. So if they're like, well, what am I supposed to do? If I vote for him and he's a racist, and you go, Trump's a racist, they'll shift it to something else like, oh, no. This is why what I'm saying is different than what you're saying. It's fucked up, but and I feel sorry that you possibly lost a friend, but I think you were doing the right thing in the first place. Mute, unfriend, move on, because honestly, this ain't the time for debates and fights. And
I refuse.
I saw too much when I saw how many people just wanted to participate in the attention that they get from the fight. Yes. That's all Charlemagne's doing. That's all Charles Barkley's doing. That's all. It's an attention economy. And so what gets attention? Being a person is like, I'm not voting for nobody, or, the Democrats don't do shit. And knowing that there's a lot of context you're leaving out that gets everybody to go fight and argue and share the clip and shit. And, we don't have to participate in the back and forth.
I don't. I refuse. And a lot of it is attention anxiety, or anxiety attention, however you want to say. The reason why I said is because for a lot of people, with you saying that, it triggers anxiety in people, where they just feel like something within them makes them feel obligated to respond to you and quote unquote tell you the truth and tell you you're wrong. And so
that's a great phrase.
They know that when they do this, they're going to trigger something in somebody where they can't control themselves. Like, cause some people feel like, I just got to. No, you don't. You actually don't. But there's something inside of you that goes, I can't let this pass. I got to dunk on you. I got to tell you the truth.
It's like a person holding themselves hostage. Like, this is ostensibly probably somebody a friend. You said you only keep close people on your Facebook. So it's like if your family member put up an Instagram live and them putting a gun to their own head, you're going to say something. Most of us are going to say something like, hey, what are you doing? This is a destructive thing you're about to do. Why would you do this to yourself? This is against what you claim to represent in every other facet. This is not going to get you the things that you claim to want. And then they use that as, well, I'm getting the attention now. So I'm keeping the gun in my head.
Yeah.
They don't go, oh, you're right, let me put the gun down. That's just crazy. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. They want that anxiety and attention.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, particularly things done on social media, I will continue to say this, no matter how much you use it, how big or small, anything you post, you're doing it for attention, period. And people don't want to embrace and accept the reality of that. Every post your picture, cat, dog, retweets, reposts, everything is for your personal attention, which is fine because I'm on there too. So I get it. I understand it. It's designed to stroke our egos, and it will never tell us we're wrong. And it will never tell us we've had enough. And it will never tell us to take a break. And it will never tell us to get off of it. Because a lot of this is computer generated. It doesn't care about your mental health. It doesn't care if it destroys your family. It doesn't care if you got a divorce, you got separated. It doesn't care if it took you down QAnon. It doesn't care if it calls you to go to the insurrection. It does not care. Its whole job is to keep you on there. It doesn't care if you're doing it before anxiety, sadness, anger, bitterness. It doesn't care if you protest against the CDC. It's designed to do its job, which is to keep you clicking and keep you strolling for as long as it can do it.
Yeah, we've seen it too much. I've done it before, participated in that type of shit when I had other shit going on that was more important, and was like, here's the internet. Let's go spend hours fighting with people about bullshit that won't change ultimately anything for anybody. Shatina says, hey, Rod and Karen, long time listener here. Love you guys. One of my favorite things is listening to Karen talk about politics. So I'm writing this because I wanted to know your guys' thoughts about the State of the Union. I enjoyed it. I think someone should put the Glorilla beat under one of the clips that say, yeah, Joe, because that motherfucker was spitting. Thank you, hilarious. Shatina. Thank you.
That's hilarious. I didn't watch all of the State of the Union. I watched some bits and pieces with Roger, but I'm not gonna lie. I am not a person to watch a lot of these State of the Unions. I know it's like the Super Bowl for the political nerds. It's like they shit, they jam, they gear up for it, get their popcorn and be like, let's go. But for me, like I've said before, my mind and my decision is made up. There's nothing that could be said and or done at the State of the Union that would change my opinion about how I'm going to vote and what decisions that I'm going to make. You know, I think the State of the Unions are important because you need to address the unions. Um, but at the same time, particularly ever since Obama been in office, Republicans have slowly been showing their asses. And you know, by interrupting and disrupting and just doing the most hateful shit they can because they're not their fan base, their voters have voted this into office. Because like Roger said before, when you have places where you've rigged the game, eventually it's going to be the extreme of the extreme of the extreme that's eventually going to win these elections. And that's what happened to these people get in office. So decorum and these things that most people would consider quote unquote normal and civil, they don't care because that's not what they were voted in office for. They wasn't voted in office to pass policies. They were voted in office to disrupt. They was voted in office to not get shit done. They was voted in office to stick it to the Democrats, regardless of if that means you have to change your opinion about the thing and do the opposite shit that you said you was gonna do. Because if you want it, I don't want it. But you said that's what you want. Fuck it, you want it, so I don't want it. That's their job. That's what they were voted in the office for. So as far as the people that voted in the office, their thing is well done for those people that were harassing and yelling shit and shit like this. But at the same time, Joe, I like the speech overall, and I think that he addressed some things overall. People that had those critiques, they still gonna have those critiques. People that feel like he's too old, still gonna feel like he's too old. People that feels like he's not doing enough on Gaza, still gonna feel like that. Ukraine, they still gonna feel like that. You know, it's a speech to talk to the people, but most people's minds and decisions are made up. A lot of it is just people get online. Back to the anxiety. For some people, these things cause them anxiety, cause them to get mad, and they're just going to be a big fallout and argument about the things. And this is what people go on social media for when these quote unquote big events happen. But like I said, our mind is already made up, so there's nothing he could say and or do to cause me to change it. So that's why a lot of times I just ignore the State of the Union addresses.
Yeah, I do watch them. Not all the time. I think it's frustrating for me lately is ever since the "you lie" shit with Obama. There's the amount of fucking disrespect that we've experienced to the Democrats when they are giving a State of the Union has been anger inducing for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, watching a State of the Union get heckled like it's JL Covan in New Jersey,
Right?
trying to
Can you believe that?
do stand up.
Who Biden think he is biting off of jail?
And then reporting, recording it and putting it on his Patreon and sending the wrong message to everyone. When it's something like that, it's very frustrating to watch, man. It's very hard to to let slide or to give a pass or whatever, because it's like it shouldn't be like that. So I watched I caught onto it a little late. I got right to when Margie Taylor Greene really started heckling and shit. And just I was so disgusted with them wearing like MAGA drip, and the one guy they got escorted out, and the disrespect to this country and to the office of president.
Mm-hmm.
And these are not people that can be worked with or reasoned with. They're dragging our country to hell, and they feel the same way about the other side, except it's not true. They're literally not governing.
Right.
They're literally, these antics that I'm disgusted by will work to the people that they'll placate their voters. Their voters love seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene dress head to toe in Trump drip.
Yeah, but she'll get reelected.
They love seeing that guy wear a fucking bow tie with a t-shirt. and get kicked out. And those things are infuriating to me. I thought Biden gave a great speech. I thought he did a great job. I also think Republicans overplayed their hand uh, heckling him because it actually made him seem more. It actually made him his where he had his Joe Bidenisms and the slips. It gave him an out, right? Because when I see him slip up, I'm like, oh, that's because Marjorie Taylor Greene won't shut the fuck up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's that, but whereas if he would have gave that speech and they would have never interrupted, wherever he had a gaffe or a stumble or a cough or something, it's like, oh, look at this old man. And that's what the media would have covered it like. They would say, look at this old man. He's old. He's so old. He's so old. It doesn't matter what his speech is about. The last thing I'll say too is props to the speechwriters. God damn, they did that.
They wrote their asses.
The way that they fucking flipped every negative into a positive, the way that they did all the stuff that people claim Joe Biden and the Democrats don't do, the way that he touted his administration accomplishments, and the way that he basically was Steve Rogers at the end of Infinity War. Or at the end, well, no, it's not Infinity War. What's the second one? Endgame.
Endgame, yes.
At the end of Endgame, when Steve Rogers is an old ass man, he goes, "Nope, I don't think I will." That's Joe Biden to me. In that I truly do believe that man is a dude that only ran as president because he didn't think anyone else could win.
Yep.
And I don't think he would have run if under any other condition. I really truly believe that. And I'm not saying that to be.
I believe that too.
I'm not saying that to be like, because he's so perfect. I think he really do believe in the bullshit of America. And I think the people I would like to be president are probably people I would like to believe in the bullshit of America.
Please do.
It's what I liked about Obama the most. It was that, while all my cynical friends hate that about him, I loved it. I said, yeah, someone need to believe in this bullshit because I don't. And hopefully the person running the country would believe we can all come together and you should do the job for everybody. That's actually what that job's supposed to be. You supposed to rule, even when people don't fuck with you. You're not supposed to be like, well, I don't fuck with you. Sorry, Florida got a hurricane. Should have voted for me. Donald Trump did shit like that.
Yes, he did.
So I think it was also a good reminder of stuff that happened under Trump and what Trump is trying to do again. And regardless of the outcome, I feel like Biden and them did the best they could with what they had. And I think all this wanting for something better and something different sounds good until it's time to vote. Because when it was actually time to vote, these motherfuckers didn't vote for those other people. They had every other type of flavor of ice cream in the Democratic primary.
I will keep saying that.
And they said, no. The only thing we will vote for in America is an older white man. Not even an older white woman. We want an older white man. And it can either be Bernie or it could be Biden. And Biden is the only one that actually put in the time and the work within the community to actually have trust from folks like Black people who actually gonna vote. So it wasn't just an online campaign for him. And it wasn't just some speeches he had gave. It was, I've been in this community. I made mistakes and I've been in this community. And I came back. I didn't run. I never lied about it. Like, I did fuck up. I'm sorry. I'm here to try to get it right. That's what the fuck he do. That whole story about how he proposed to his wife all them fucking times. That's who the fuck that guy is. And like I said, I still know there's inherent problems with the country, inherent problems with the office of president, all that shit. But soberly looking at it, I still would rather have Biden in office than Trump. And I don't know that I can even debate or deal with people that came out of that feeling differently.
I refuse.
All right, let's see. Next one's from Professor Corey, Prof. Corey. Underground Railroad postage stamps. Good people. I hope this message finds you well. Did you know the U.S. Postal Service now has stamps honoring the Underground Railroad? Harriet Jacobs is among the activists featured. I hope you'll read the brief essay below and share widely, especially if you hadn't noticed. Project 2025. Hope this piece clarifies what's at stake. Also, I will speak about Jacobs at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, the 14th, on Ariva Martin in Real Time Radio and at 6 p.m. Pacific Time on Sunday, the 17th at Octavia's Bookshelf in Pasadena. Flyer attached. Oh, maybe this is just like a general group email. I don't know. I think we might have got BCC'd on. But you know what? You deserve all the promotion, Prof. Corey.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, y'all go check her out.
Yeah. And it's to a piece she wrote on msnbc.com called "The Release of These Underground Railroad Stamps Couldn't Come at a Better Time." And
there might be just the people that want to see her and stuff. Going out there.
Yeah. Go out there and support the professor. She's good people. And then lastly, this one's from John, who says trauma, Garland, ethical fapping, wigs, etc. Good morning, my sweet babies. I'm not on the gram, but I wanted to chime in. One more thing that's so great about this podcast that didn't get mentioned: the sound effects. I usually hate sound effects on podcasts because they always make them sound like some Radio Lab or Prairie Home Companion shit. But you always find the best, funniest, most memorable clips. I often find myself saying things like, "This is beautiful." Oh yeah, I love that one. Oh my God, this is beautiful. We are all adults here. Cut the crap.
That's my jam. I love that white woman.
Or reference to chicken police in real time, and people just have no idea what I'm talking about. These sound effects truly live in my head in a wonderful way. Yeah. I do love collecting clips for the show, and you know, sometimes it takes a while for me to remember to go get them. But
once you get them,
yeah. Like I gotta break this one down to smaller segments, but Buster and TJ has been in my head for literally months at this point.
Okay. As a man, like women should worship me. You feel me?
Wow.
Like man eats steak, pork, chitlin. Woman eats salad. That's just what it is. I want to watch football game, eat food. With women, they supposed to be loving us. You feel what I'm saying? Man,
are you married by chance?
Nah, man, I ain't never had a girlfriend.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is the reason why I haven't had one is because women's be tripping.
Yes, that's my clip. That shit is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, so you know, we try to do a little something with those.
Yes,
clips.
my favorite thing is my reaction is angry, sad, and disappointed.
Yep.
My reaction is angry, sad, and disappointed.
Yes, that's one of my personal favorite.
Yeah, and also like, you know, I remember the stories we covered where we heard these sound bites
for the first time. Yeah,
it's a good trip down memory lane, you know. So I appreciate that you like those. Let's see. The ongoing Monique drama has been very interesting to hear about. My mom was also abused by a sibling when she was young. And so much of Monique's behavior is similar to the stuff I used to see from my mom. The grudge holding, pettiness, making herself the victim of everything and everything about herself. Obviously, people who weren't abused do these things too. But my guess is that terrible trauma sometimes results in people having these kind of socially awkward approaches towards other people, even their own kids in adulthood. It can really mess up relationships and push people apart, as it did for both me and my sister. Yeah, I definitely, you know, people talk about the cycles of abuse and breaking cycles. That shit is not just rhetoric. That's real shit that it is hard to do.
Yes, it is very hard to do.
The Black Lives Matter leader, Dr. Melina Abdullah, is a legit organizer and activist. I attended a police reform protest with her back in 2017. She's very much considered one of the faces of Black Lives Matter in Los Angeles. Yes, I had a friend text me about this. I wasn't saying she's like not legitimate as an activist. What I was saying is they were acting like she was the founder of BLM. There's three, I believe: Opal Tometi, Patrice Cullors, Alicia Garza. So those are the three that everyone's supposed to know. Then there are people that like founded Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, founded Black Lives Matter Greater New York. The thing is, because at the time, the way it was not organized, I don't know if it's been since organized.
It was that leaderless.
You were allowed to just kind of start. And a lot of times they get very upset about like the money from the major organization not making it to the branches and shit. It's a big thing. It's just what I'm trying to point out is it's not necessarily one homogenous group where everyone's on the same page. That's what I'm saying. Someone in Los Angeles might run their group and their social media completely different to the way the larger organization runs. we had Black Lives Matter Chicago celebrating the October 7th Hamas
I
attack.
remember you
You
talking
know
about
that like
yeah.
and I was trying to point out the difference in the title of the article, which is Black Lives Matter founder. You know, when it's the when there's Black Lives Matter Chicago celebrating the Hamas attack, they're going Black Lives Matter celebrates Hamas attack when that's not necessarily the truth.
They
But-
put it all in one pot when that's not actually the truth.
Yeah, so that's what I'm pointing out. Not I wasn't trying to denigrate her work or whatever. I don't know her work to be saying she is or is not a legit person, you know. She's super intelligent, really does the work, but yes, she's also very online and likes to be provocative on social media. So I wasn't surprised at all that she would say what she said about Taylor Swift fans to stir up some attention. To be honest, I get what she means, and sometimes think the same thing about my white friends and family who are all about Taylor, but completely ignore Beyonce. But I don't judge them individually like, oh, you're racist, because what's the point? But I do definitely think race and culture play a big role in why they gravitate towards one artist but not the other, which is perfectly fine. Isn't that what people want when they rightfully celebrate Beyonce centering blackness in her art? Of course, that's going to mean less white fans. So it's kind of funny. They want Beyonce and other artists to lean into references that will completely go over the heads of most white listeners, but then will bash those people for not getting them. Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't even think Beyonce came up in that discussion. I think all too often Beyonce and Taylor Swift are pitted against each other when both of those women seem to have a lot of respect for each other's work and want to be friends.
Right.
And the fact that the audience keeps ignoring that is because racism is the number one sport in America.
Yes, it is.
The fact that Taylor Swift is not the artist that would denigrate Beyonce, not the artist that shits on black people, not the artist that tells her fans like this is for white folks only, who is an inclusive artist that has tried to promote allyship, who has promoted lots of left-leaning politics, especially as she's gotten older. I just find the whole thing to be a fucking waste of time. And if you want to use your social media salaciously, of course you can do that. But that's why I said, even when we covered it, maybe she's saying it as a joke, because to me, this is not the work. You know what I mean? Like, kicking that hornet's nest for what? Am I free now? Did they stop shooting us?
Right.
Who gives a fuck about this? You know, and I feel that way about a lot of this shit. I know people are human and they're activists and they're trying to combine life with their activism, but like, you trying to turn your Twitter fight with Taylor Swift fans into activism is weird to me. And I don't have to support it. She got plenty of support and money and shit over there. She'll be fine. She don't need the black guy who tips on board with that. But yeah, if you want, hey, I tweeted that the Cracker Barrel feels racist to me. All right. That has zero. You're going to get involved in a very insular, very navel gazing fight with a bunch of white folks on the internet. And you're going to present that as some type of evidence of something that I don't necessarily think it is. You know, it's just, it is what it is, you know, but I didn't really fuck with that.
Right. And it's also one of those things to tell you the truth. And like I said, people are human in the activism space. And they're doing their thing. They're not always going to agree, and they're not always going to see eye to eye. And activism has been around for a very long time, and we're not free. And so, it's one of those things where, I look at it going, as somebody on the outside looking in going, is what you're doing going to get me free? I'm not trying to find all your other personal bullshit I don't care about.
It's the same shit we were talking about with your friend that came on Facebook talking about Joe Biden. What's really going on with you, sis? Because I know this ain't indicative of anything. It's not real work. It's not waking anyone up. Calling her fans racist is just basically saying her fans are white and saying all white people are racist, regardless of what the artist they're listening to says, regardless of what the intent is. Okay, cool. Congrats. I don't know what was supposed to have been accomplished here other than I would like to fight. I want to fight some people on Twitter. And Taylor Swift's group of fans is an easy foil. Like, they love that girl. They support her, much like people support Beyonce.
Right.
And anyone say anything, they're going to turn it into like, why are you attacking our queen? She ain't do shit.
Right.
That's just is what it is. So I don't care if it's a black person doing it or a white person doing it. You are just fucking with a bunch of people that really wasn't doing nothing wrong. And they keep using that shit as evidence of something. Like, and I've seen regular people do this too. They attack the Swifties. They attack the Swifties and they talk shit about Taylor Swift. And then whenever that group of people says something back, they're like, you racist pieces of shit. And it's like, what? What the fuck are you doing? Because I've seen it happen with our folk. Where someone says some shit about Beyonce, it don't even have to really be racist. It could just be, I don't think Beyonce's country music is good. And we jump in their shit like they came and put a fucking burning cross in her yard. We've been on both sides of it. I don't know why people get off on doing that to each other, but whatever it is, I'm not couching it in any bigger discussion about racism or activism or whatever.
It's the individual thing.
You wanted to go kick a hornet's nest. Oh, you got stung. Oh well. I'm not obligated to give a fuck. Now the Supreme Court has put Trump's federal trials on hold until they rule on the immunity issue. Something they're likely going to need to do at some point, regardless of how fast people want the DOJ to act. It's pretty ironic that now the only way Trump doesn't get held accountable is if we fail to reelect Biden. That is the irony. The only way to ensure Trump sees justice is to reelect Biden. So now we'll get to see all those complaint ass motherfuckers who have been saying, I just want to see them held accountable for 3 years, if they'll do their job to make that happen by putting all their effort into Biden's reelection. We are all Merrick Garland now, and now we get to see who really cares about holding Trump accountable for real. Yeah, I absolutely thought about that shit.
Yep, I 100% agree. And Roger said this, and I will always follow the like this means something to me when he was saying, like, when people say things, you ask them, okay, and not voting or not voting for Biden, will that get you closer to the thing that you want?
Yeah, how will it help you get the thing you say you want?
And like, that's a foundational question, and there's no answer to that, because the reality of that is it doesn't get you any closer. In fact, it gets you further away if you really want to be real about it. And a lot of times when you start going down that rabbit hole, like Roger said, they change the topic, they change the subject. It's about everything else, but the fundamental thing is you as an individual person are responsible, as a voter, in the voting populace. And what I've realized, a lot of people, they don't want to be held accountable. And I've realized that you don't want to be held accountable. When people go, well, motherfucker, vote. And they go, well, I'm not trying to do that. Okay, well then how the fuck do you think you'll get the shit done that you want done, that you fucking complaining about all the goddamn time, 24/7, 365? We can't never get you to shut the fuck up about it. How do you think you'll get any step closer? Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to happen instantly? No. But why would you think that Trump would actually get you closer to the things that you claim that you want? Do you really want it or not?
Also, for those that think it's brinksmanship, well, we'll just let Trump win, and then after that, y'all will have to listen to us, and we're gonna get the liberal utopia that we always wanted. We did that already. This is the result of that. What we're living in right now is supposed to have been the backlash to letting Trump win. Remember, you said don't vote for Hillary, let Trump win, and then it'll have to be Bernie. It'll have to, and you've been wrong at every turn. I don't have to listen to you.
I don't have to listen to you, nor do I have to respect your opinion and how you feel. I do not have to respect you if you vote for third parties. I don't have to respect you. I can say you're a goddamn fool. I can say that. And I can say it with my whole motherfucking chest and mean it.
Now, look, we're not saying you a fool out there, okay? We don't want your feelings hurt if you vote in third party and you're not listening or whatever. Okay, because it's all right. Okay, we just it's all right, my sweet babies.
No, it's not. You calm down, Karen. Karen, this time you wrong.
Rod, you mentioned the Republicans would pass new laws to try to outlaw the morning after pill that CVS or Walmart are going to start carrying, but it's too late. There already is a case pushed by force birth Republicans being argued before the Supreme Court. They will likely rule on it in June. Okay, well, I guess I was right. I was more right than I knew. Fuck. They may agree to rolling it back to a 7-week limit, which, as you noted, is hardly enough time for someone to even know they missed their period. So CVS and Walmart's change in their own policies may be mostly for nothing, affecting millions of people's lives and reproductive freedom. Oh, well, at least some people got to feel good about not voting for Hillary. Crazy thought. I think Tyler Perry should buy the rights to Underground and Lovecraft Country, etc., and finish them off in his own signature style as a big F you to all his haters. They can be mad at the trauma, violence, and subject matter and the wigs all at once. That's a terrible idea, and that's why white people don't get to come up with ideas for what black people should do. And I say that as a person that supports Tyler Perry, but
hilarious.
absolutely not.
I know, that I would be
The
like,
first
no.
nigga I see that's a slave with a bad wig, I am burning the theater down.
No, thank you.
I absolutely don't want to see that shit.
Let him stay in his lane.
Right. We had enough problems. Rod, when you say some people are into this whole hate fucking fantasy, you can just say JL Covan, LOL. Well, it's not just him, but yeah, he one of them. On that note, this Sopranos, but it's a common thing. It's so common. I just don't relate to it. I'm a weirdo. It's fine. I don't want to pleasure somebody I fucking hate that hates me. There's nothing in it for me. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm just weird that way. I probably, like I said, I'm probably on some spectrum. There's probably a word for the type of sexuality that I have that isn't necessarily is still cis het, but it's something. Like if I don't fucking like you, I don't want to have sex with you, period.
I do not.
I don't want to have no attachment. I don't want to be fuck buddies in the like the way of like, you know, people be like, it's not as popular now, but it was real popular maybe 5-10 years ago, where people would do that whole like, I mean, if I fuck you, what you doing in my house? Get the fuck out. And I'm like, God damn, I don't even do that to guest like company. Like if my friend comes over to hang out for a couple hours, I'm not just like, it's 8 o'clock, bitch. Get your fucking shit. Get the fuck out of my house. Where's the animosity come from?
Right.
You were just inside each other or whatever. Like, how is this happening? So I don't think I'm built for whatever the fuck that is. But it seems like a lot of people are built for that. And that's, you know, I was trying not to judge them, but yeah, it's just not a thing for me.
Nope.
On that note, this Sopranos actress OnlyFans thing is such a moral dilemma. She's kind of hot in that trashy Italian-American way that I love. I can say that as Italian-American. But at the same time, I hate to support anyone who is anti-vaccine bozo. I guess I'll just find some pirated clips and use my moral indignation to justify it. That'll show her. It'll be like my own version of the Montgomery bus boycott. Oh, God, no. Last 2 paragraphs of this email just going off the rails.
This turned left, didn't it?
Yeah, Jesus. Speaking of which, thanks for sharing the Rosa Parks book info. Fascinating stuff, and I always love hearing insights from books that I may want to check out, but may not have time to read myself. Sorry for the long emails. Cheers, John. No need to apologize. I mean, you could have cut the last 2 paragraphs off. I mean, I'm not going to... That wasn't your best work. Also, like, I guess I'm not at a point where I like hate. I don't hate someone that was like anti-vax or something. I think it's like hate for me is like, yeah, I don't know. Like there's certain people in certain positions I don't think I'm capable of hating unless they do something that I find to be truly abhorrent. Like, yeah, so like a porn star, like there's Instagram models that say shit all the time on my Instagram. I'm like, yeah, okay, you know, like I came here to look at your butt. It's on me. It's on me. I can't. I'm responsible for this. I knew that I was running a risk because I don't care or know any of your other opinions. So every 4th post might be like, and you know what? Now that I think about it, I think R. Kelly is innocent. I just mute that one and scroll to the next twerking video. It's easy to me.
It's easy to me too. And hate is, for me personally, it's a very, very strong emotion. And so for me, I don't will that out willy-nilly.
Yeah, you're not a politician. So, I mean, you're an Instagram model that just said some dumb shit. So if your girl, if you want to jack off to the Sopranos lady, who gives a fuck? No one's clocking you.
Nope.
Like it's not like we're out here keeping, John jacked off 3 times to the anti-vax lady. And I guarantee you them other people you jacking off to got some pretty horn bullshit about them too. It just is what it is. I just say don't listen to them. We got this in the mail, a gift for you. Hi, Rod and Karen. Thank you for talking about how you bought some sugar-free gummies that weren't good. So I'm sending you these sugar-free medicinal gummies, which I found to be delicious. Smiley face. Hope you enjoy them, from Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. And they are Wonder Focus mushroom gummies from Plant People, 0 sugar, vegan, gluten-free, lion's mane, cordyceps, cordyceps. Oh, I recognize that from The Last of Us.
I know lion's mane is good for your memory.
B6, B12, and green tea too. It might even got some D12 in it. Eminem. Hey, just don't know, my man. Juicy citrus, 0 sugar. It's supposed to give you focus, energy, cognition, and ideation. And got 60 of them. All right. I have to try one of those. And then we'll see if I'm able to unlock my inner
Your third eye.
my limitless. Wasn't that the name of that movie with Brad Cooper where he was like took a drug and all of a sudden the nigga could like, he could know all the digits of pi. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. We got one more package in the mail.
That's gonna send you to another planet, baby.
Right. I'm gonna be on this podcast and make it sound like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
No, thank you. Mm-mm.
We are all specks of dust in the universe. So really, the real problem with Dune is that you can't hear sound that deep down in the sand.
No, I will throw them away if it makes you do that.
In this package, we got a little note that says, it's no note. Oh wait, I know who sent this to me, but it don't say her name on it.
It don't say it. No, is there anything else in the box?
No.
Okay.
No. But it was a listener who said I want to say it was Tiffany Sharice, but I think she hit me up on Instagram to DM me, to tell me that we had she sent this to me.
Yes, because you a candle burner bitch.
Yes, and it is a candle. As y'all can tell, I already told Karen about it.
Oh, yes.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
But
refresh, babe. Oh, wait a minute. You good now? Okay, about a second. You had froze for a second. But
it's a candle with ghost on. Wait, is this KKK or ghost? What is these, y'all? I can't tell if is this KKK or the ghost.
Like the ghost, like kids in the
okay, kids in the ghost car. Okay, I was
like,
scared.
Is this Halloween with the pumpkins in the background?
Ghostly marshmallow trees. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Woo. Thought I was getting to be in the honorary KKK just now.
That was it. Clan candles.
Ooh, this smell good. What is this? Marshmallow treats? Hello. Roasted marshmallow. Oh, this is making me hungry. Well, thank you very much for the gift. We appreciate everybody.
We do.
That hooked us up. Everybody that sent in emails. No 5-star reviews, but let's get on that next week, everybody. Okay, y'all know.
You know who you are.
Yeah,
I see you.
Y'all do the right thing. Okay, I'm not just talking Spike Lee.
Quit looking around in your office. I'm talking about you.
And we'll be back throughout the week. You know how we do. That's it. Until next time. I love you.
I love you too.
Wow. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your night. Peace out.